Yeah. First, okay, Dylan, welcome. Thanks a lot for doing this. Welcome to Injury Time. So,
No
first of all,
worries.
how are you? How are you in the bubble? What's happening?
Yeah, well, I'm doing well now. There was a period there when the team wasn't doing so well with COVID, and I'm sure everyone read about that. And myself had a bit of a tough time with quarantine and COVID. So I think we're over the hill now. But yeah, it hasn't been easy for any teams, for any players. It's been a very big mental battle this season, and yeah, look, we've, we've got plenty of games left to finish, and we're going to give 100%. So yeah, we're just doing by day by day, and yeah.
So, how has this season been for you? I mean, it's a shift from northeast. You come here.
Mm,
From the outside, it looks quite a difficult season because of the coach changed and things didn't
mm,
really. A lot of decisions didn't go your way, and sometimes the goals didn't
yeah.
come when it should have come. So, how was
Mm,
the whole situation for you?
yeah. Look, it's been a little bit difficult at the start at pre-season. I picked up a few injuries, so I started off on the wrong foot with injuries, and obviously the coach changed as well. So look, it's been a bit of shifting with the team, and obviously we've been frustrating on the pitch as well because we haven't been getting results, but we've been playing well, and that's been the most frustrating thing from the players' perspective because we know how good we are as a team, and we know how good all the individuals are here. So we're frustrated, and we know we should be higher up the ladder, and yeah.
Yes, if going by the same token of the season that's happening. How are you guys dealing with coming into the season? We all thought FC Goa was
Mm,
favorites, and you were playing well also for most of the games. It did look like you
mm.
deserve to get more points. So how are you
Mm.
dealing with that internally as a team, as a player?
Yeah, look, it's frustrating. You come together as a team, you talk about the things. Why aren't we getting these results? We know we should be. We come together as a group. Look, we are a tight group team and family here. And look, we're just taking it game by game. We just got to put out the best performance. And look, I think luck is on our side. This season we haven't had that spark of luck, which is difficult to take. But look, we have 5 games left to fight for every point for the finals, and we'll do that.
And can you talk about the coach change also? Like we all know Derek, he's been there for a long time. He's taken over for an interim basis before also.
Mhm.
But how was it for you in the situation? Because it came out of absolutely nowhere, right? Like nobody
Mm,
knew there was a discussion going on, and suddenly it just appeared. So how did
yeah,
you?
look, it's the same. It's the same as the players. It came out of nowhere from the players as well. I had no clue about it. I'm sure everyone knows that like all the other foreign players are Spanish, and I'm Australian, so like it's kind of I don't speak Spanish, and it's different, and it kind of just came out of the blue for me as well. And it's just one of those things that happen in football, isn't it? Football things change with the blink of an eye, and as a team, we didn't try to let that affect us, and we just kept moving forward. And yeah, here we are, and we're just going to keep fighting.
And also from again from the outside when I'm looking in, it does feel like FC Goa is sort of a test tube for the league in certain sense because you guys were the first to play with cases in there, and suddenly you had last minute a lot of people who were going to play were called back and asked to quarantine. You had to go and play, so it just felt like a lot of tests were being done. How do we figure out this dynamic situation? How did you guys deal with that whole thing?
Mm,
Because you're going in with an idea, okay, we are going to play like this, and then there's no guarantee. And the
mm,
next time when you're going, you know that there is no guarantee. So is there any point in planning it
yeah,
ahead of time? So how did you guys deal
yeah,
with this? It looks horrible from the outside as from a player's perspective and all. How you guys just go there and play with
yeah.
no
Well,
training also.
yeah. Well, from my perspective and my personal um, situation on COVID and quarantine, so I actually we got our first case and we went into lockdown as a team. and it was on the Monday, and then I tested positive on a Thursday, and so that was 14 days I was in a room, 14 days completely, and I come out from quarantine and trained for 3 or 4 days, and then ended up having to play 90 minutes. So in 2 weeks you lose a lot of fitness, you know, and a lot of players, it's a bit of risk for health with training wise, you know, and getting the body right and recovering from these things, being in a room for so long. So from a personal perspective, it's difficult. As a team perspective, this is something that every team's had to deal with now, because it's come through most teams, isn't it? So everyone has their own hurdles to get over and try and field teams through COVID, and it's gotten to that stage, you know. So yeah, that's my take on it. But personally, it's difficult because I was in a room for 14 days, and I know other boys have been in rooms for longer, and yeah, it's not easy.
Your captain put out a very strong statement also on Instagram, which we all saw. I mean, there is obviously truth to what he's saying, at least from my end. I'm not going to talk for everybody. From my end, it looks like there's truth to that. So, how is it demotivating to be in this situation? Like, do you feel like playing? I mean, I'm sure you, as a professional, you want to go and play, you'll give 100%. But is there that side that it feels like, okay, let's just finish the season and we'll start anew the next time?
I think just the way COVID just come rampant, everyone's kind of just been a bit of been a hurdle for most teams. And for me, I was in a room for 14 days, and when I got out and I was on the training pitch, I was the happiest I've been in months. And then I played against Bengaluru, come on, and played a game and scored. So for me, I love playing football, I love doing these things. So it's not for me. I don't want, you know, it's a situation where we're not comfortable living in a room for 5 months. It's not nice to do, but I'll do it for the thing I love, football, you know. And look, we just, like I said, we take it day by day. We have 5 games left, and we'll give everything for the club and fight for all the 3 points. So every team is dealing with the situation, and the league's doing. We know the league's doing their best to get the games played, and yeah, so just keep positive.
Yeah, so every team is, like you said, dealing with this situation, and you have 5 games still left, 15 points. The table is really, really tight, right? It's not. It can change every single day. Even a draw can change a lot, and a lot of the teams that we thought were on really good form are now sort of not in that same vein of form. Like Mumbai not having won a lot of games, and Chennai is also sort of coming down. Does that give you confidence that, okay, if we win 5, we can push for the semi-final spot, and like anything is possible on the day and things?
Yeah, because I think throughout the ISL, from my experience in the ISL, I think any team could beat any team any day. I think that yeah, I came last season, and I've noticed that since I've been here, that any team could beat any team. So things can change very quickly in football. Who knows? We win 5 games, you might make the finals. We've made it difficult for ourselves. We're not going to try and sugarcoat that. We've made it very difficult for ourselves, but we know if there's a glimpse of hope for anything, we'll always give it our best. So yeah, we know it's going to be difficult, but we're here now and we have to deal with it, and anything can happen in football.
So stepping a little back from this season, if there is a team that knows about going on a run and a streak, it's you guys last year when you played for Northeast United. Can I just ask, like, what did Khalid actually come and change in the team that made that possible?
Well, look, I think that I've said it in interviews before. It wasn't anything that come in and drastically changed. It wasn't like that. It was the same as what it was. We were a tight knit team. We knew the way we played. We weren't playing out from the back. We weren't a fantastic team in this, but we were a strong unit. We were a strong team. We knew what we needed to do to get results, and we did that. I think that Khalid coming gave us confidence. He's a motivator. He's a driver and a good guy and a good person, and good coach also. So last season, I have nothing but good things to say about him. He come in, took the team and put us on a good run. So as a squad, everyone wrote us off for the start of the season last year. And we finished third, so it was a good season as a team. We had a good tight knit group, and I think we overachieved last year, and everyone didn't expect us to do so well. So credit to him for coming on at a tough time, because Gerardness obviously left 6 games in. Pretty much like, for example, if now I'm at Goa and the coach left, this season, so it's kind of the same situation. It can go either way, So look at it like that. Yeah, it's that was last season. That's my perspective on last season.
So last year, like you said, tight knit group, you were not playing out from the back and stuff. Now you are in a team which wants to play out from the back. So for you personally, what do you prefer? Like, do you like the FC Goa style, or which sort of complements your style of football?
Look, I like both. Obviously, this season has been difficult for me because I've been struggling for game time. I'm not going to sugarcoat that either. I'm obviously not happy because I'm not. Every player wants to play. Last season, I played nearly every single game. I came here to play. I moved to India to play football from Australia. So it's frustrating on my part. The season, the team hasn't been doing so well, and I've been struggling for game time. So it's obviously difficult, being honest with you. So look, I know my capabilities in both. My style, I can play out from the back. I can play like I played last season. I have many things in my locker. I think that I show my best when I get consistent run of games and I get consistent game time. So that's when I show my best. Unfortunately, this season has been difficult for me to get.
Okay. So can I ask you something slightly different? Like, you score the goal, I saw your celebration. So I was just wondering, like, when you score, it seems like one of those things. Generally, in a stadium, it's very probably one of those times when you and the fans, you're in that shared moment of happiness, right? So what do you feel when you score a goal? Like, and also, how different is it when there's nobody around to celebrate other than just your team and a few others?
Yeah, so I actually scored in Australia at the same time as COVID just started, so there was no fans there either. So my only experience is celebrating in front of no fans. It's always been my dream as a kid to celebrate in front of 40,000 people or something like this. It's been my dream. I dream about it at night, thinking, okay, I'm going to score a header. I'm going to run over the corner flag and go. You think about these things as a footballer. And unfortunately, I've scored 2 goals in my career, and both of them have been no fans. So I'm looking forward to, hopefully, if I'm next season, if I stay in India or whatever happens, and I know all the fans are crazy here. I'd love to score in front of a full stadium in India. I wish it was the last game, So I wish those fans here to see that, even though it was a little tepid. I would have milked that celebration. I would have died and everything, if there was fans.
Oh, that's actually really unfortunate that you scored the 2 goals when there were no fans at all. But you still felt like that happiness, right? Like inside.
Yeah, of course. You don't even really realize what you're doing, because it's funny, because I was talking to Aaron, and he said to me, "Why didn't you run over to me?" Because we talk about these things, and when you score in the moment, you don't think about that. I said, "Mate, you're used to scoring, so your celebrations. It's not a big deal for you. You score every week, whatever it is." And I said, "For me, it's a big deal. I'm not used to celebrating. I just go off instinct. I always think about it, like, oh, what I'm going to do as a celebration." And then when the moment comes, you're not thinking. For strikers, it's different. They can play. They're used to it. It's normal to them. It's like, as a defender, I make a clearance. I ain't gonna celebrate. For me, it's different.
It's like, what was the conversation that you and Aram had? Like, what was the celebration supposed to be?
No, it wasn't like a special celebration. It was just like, me and him have a good relationship off the field, and he was really happy for me to score. So he's like, I'm looking back, I wish I ran over and jumped on him. You know what I mean? So yeah, just like that. We didn't talk about a celebration before, but yeah, we're just good friends off the park. And
I was thinking, okay, this is funny because we've watched football and you see these guys doing celebration, and then Ronaldo does that Sue thing, and it became a thing in the Australian Open and everything. And I was just wondering, in no other profession, right, other than sport, can you just do something and then just absolutely lose your mind and run around and jump and be happy about the whole thing. In like if I
Yeah, I
write a
know.
really nice article, I can't go around and scream about it and like, yeah, I did the nice thing and thing. But it's
Yeah.
but we all love the fact that athletes celebrate, whether it's in football or Usain Bolt doing his famous
Mm,
pose or whatever. You achieve something, and there is this feeling of
mm,
like I'm happy for you when you
yeah,
score, or,
yeah, it's a
happy
great
for
feeling.
me when you score. Like it's very strange.
Yeah, like even watching the highlights back when I scored, and you see like a glimpse of the bench, and I see my teammates, my coaches jumping up. It just makes me feel good. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
So a little bit. Do you have any superstitions and things?
No, I don't have any superstitions. I have a routine that I like to keep. Um, that makes me mentally prepared for games. I wouldn't say superstitions. I like to on a mental side. I like to prepare correctly, do the right things to prepare for games and training. And it's not superstitions. It's just something that helps me mentally prepare.
And now let's going back a little to your life and career. You're from Northern Ireland, but raised in Australia. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was born in Northern Ireland. I lived there until I was 6, and then I moved to Australia. So my mum was Australian,
Hmm.
and she moved to Ireland. That my dad had me. We went back to Australia, and to be honest, it was the best decision my mother and my father could have ever made because in Ireland it's a difficult life. I know kids that I was went to school with and stuff don't have the opportunities that I had when I lived in Australia. Um, Australia is a beautiful life, beautiful country. It's not to say Ireland isn't, I'm just saying it's a different type of life and but opportunities. So grateful for that. But yeah, I've actually got 3 passports. I've got Irish, English, and Australian. So not many people have 3 passports. So I'm happy for that.
So when we look at Australia, right, from an Indian perspective, you look there. It's a really sporting culture is really massive in Australia. Whether it's
Mm,
Olympic sport, football, you guys are in the World Cup. You have great fighters. Before we were talking about UFC, one champion
mm,
from there, a challenger from there, former champion from there. All of these things are
mm,
there from Australia, New Zealand as well. You are great in rugby.
mm,
So as a kid, they just let you do what, like play all these sport, and then do you pick one, or how is it? Because Ash Barty is an international tennis player
mm,
and an international cricketer. Same with Ellis
mm,
Perry, she's a footballer and a cricketer. So you have
mm.
extremely talented people, or your sporting
Yeah,
culture is amazing.
yeah. There's a big sporting culture in Australia. I've always wanted to play a bit of football since I can remember, as young as I can remember, even in Ireland. When I moved to Australia, I lost my Irish accent in about 6 months. And obviously met my Australian friends at school, and they all played rugby league, and I love soccer. But then I started coming on to my mum and my dad saying, "I want to play rugby league. I want to play that." Mum and dad said, "No way, you're not playing that. It's too tough, too rough where it is." But I said, "No, I want to do it." Lucky they didn't let me because maybe I wouldn't be here right now. But um, yeah, in Australia, there's plenty of sports. There's AFL, NRL. Most of my friend group growing up was NRL play. They played NRL, so but football was always my dream as a kid in Australia, and there's plenty of opportunities in Australia. It's a great country for sport, great country to and good athletes there. I think a lot of Australian players. There's a lot of Australian centre backs, isn't there? Like 6 foot strong and so me, I like to win every header and stuff. So there's a lot of athletes, and I always said I could have played AFL because I got a big leap.
Hmm.
So maybe I could have been good at AFL as well. I don't know. But it's tough sport. These guys run like 15, 16K every game.
Hmm.
So it's a lot more running than football. Centre back probably run 11K in a game, but in AFL 15 or 16K a game. So I don't know if I think I like football better.
So What is football like in Australia? And you played in Australia, you played in New
Mm,
Zealand as well. So, what is football like
mm.
in that Oceania region? How is the fans? Like, is it massive as we think it is? I think rugby is your first
Yeah,
sport, right?
yeah, I'd say, look, obviously rugby and AFL, um, rugby league is probably the biggest in Australia, and AFL also. Like in AFL in Melbourne, they get fans like 70,000, 80,000 to certain games. But football was growing. It was growing there in Australia. It was getting good. I was playing in front of fans of 30,000, 35,000 in Melbourne and big stadiums, and it's growing. It's growing. But football, yeah, it's just, of course, it's respected. It's a good sport in Australia. Plenty of good players. Australian national team. It's a good team. And yeah, it's good. It's a good league. Plenty of good players, good foreign players, and I've learned plenty of lessons in my early career as a centre back in Australia, coming up against some top strikers. So it helped me grow. Obviously, I played against in my team Roy Krishna and Dave Williams. I played with Roy Krishna for 4 years, so I was training against him every day. That's going to make me better as a defender, isn't it? Coming up against Krishna every day training. So I think that when we play each other, I had a bit of an advantage, you know. So, but Roy's a top guy, and so it's like so much respect for these guys, and obviously before I come India, I talked to these boys and said it was great. It's a growing league, and it's something I wanted to be a part of, and I'm happy I took the leap here and here in India.
Did you have a talk with him while you're playing? Because you're centre back, he's a centre striker, right? Do you chat with each
No, we
other?
don't talk when we play. We
Yeah.
don't talk when we play. We have plenty of tussles when we play. He's
Yeah.
a strong. He's so strong because he's short, but he's strong as anything and quick as anything. So I always like to give myself a few yards of space in case he starts running in behind. You know, so it's kind of something I would have learned in training. All those years, kind of against him. Look, in the game, we don't talk, but after the game, you have a big hug. On the field, we're getting into each other, which is, of course, is normal. You know, but I've met some good people off the field in football, and Roy's as humble as they come, and Willow as well. You know, Roy's one of the strikers. He's clinical. He's top guy, and you can't not feel good for him. You know, because he's such a humble, honest guy, and I have nothing but good words to say about him and Willow.
So, you got an offer in Korea, right? So you went to Korea, but you came back quite quickly. So,
Yeah, so I've mentioned this before on a few interviews. So what actually happened, I was playing in the A League in Australia and I had an offer in Korea. And I said to my agent, I was coming off contract. I said, look, I just want to wait to see all my offers at the end of the season. So it's coming towards the end of the season. Anyway, I ended up playing a game and tore my ankle ligament completely tore it, syndesmosis injury. And I got off after the game, went and spoke to my agent and said, look, I said, obviously that Korean deal's gone because I just got injured. Season's finished. I said, mate, you're not going to believe it. They still want to sign you. We've just tore your ankle ligament. Send them all your scans, send them everything that's happened. Go, you fly over to Korea, sign the deal, and do your rehab of 8 weeks, whatever it is, and you'll be right for the season. So I did all that, signed the deal, went over there in ankle boot with a torn ankle ligament. The coach looked at me, looked down at my ankle boot, and obviously being a foreign player, they're going to push you back to come back quicker. So it was supposed to be 8 weeks, but I wasn't even running on the field. I couldn't run without pain, probably after 12 weeks, 10 weeks. So everything was pushed back because I was getting pushed to come back quicker. And with my ankle, I'm a centre back, it's my leaping leg. I couldn't get my strongest activity is in the air and on the ground jumping, you know. So I couldn't jump properly. My ankle wasn't healing right, and they pushed me. So I went over there with a difficult time. Obviously, I didn't heal right my ankle, so I had to come back to Australia, get my ankle right, fixed and sorted, and then obviously I signed it at Central Coast Mariners. So obviously it was a tough time in Korea because I was by myself there. I was injured every day. I was worrying about my ankle. It's not healing right. I was thinking, it's difficult. It's a difficult time, but I know for a fact if I went there not injured, I would have absolutely killed it there. So it's just one of those things in football that happens. And you look at my resume, so Foxes in Korea didn't play any games, but no one knows what happens behind the scenes. I was injured the whole time. I couldn't even jump. I was getting pushed to train and play. So it's, yeah, I've talked about it a few times, but when you look at the resume, you don't really see behind the scene things, you know. So yeah, that's what happened in Korea. Came back to Australia. Everything, my ankle healed right. It was a scar tissue there and healed right, and yeah, here I am now. Never been an issue since. It's just pushed back a little bit too early.
Yeah, because this is something that a lot of people don't think about, because Asia has the limit on number of foreigners, right? Because unlike Europe, so the pressure on a foreign signing to come to a new country and deliver, because you have to deliver, because you're getting, you know, they're saying you're getting paid more, you have to do this, you are a higher level player. It's probably tough, right?
Exactly. That was the perception. I'm there, they're paying me more money than to come there, and they want me back as quick as possible, you know. So they're pushing the limit. But I didn't feel good. So it's football sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So just a few quick fire questions now. Let's move on to some nicer topics and funnier topics. So who is the best player that you've played against in India and generally all over the place? Because you played some in A-League, right? You played some again, like some big players over there.
Yeah, in Australia, it would probably be strikers would be the best Barisha or Bruno Fornaroli. These guys were top strikers in Australia at the time when I was coming up as a centre back, young centre back. These guys scored 30 goals a season, 20 goals a season. Learned plenty of lessons against them, you know, football lessons, pinching me and just giving it to them in the game. And yeah, I'd say those two strikers in Australia were in peak form when I was there. So that was always a test, which I loved. I've always feel like I always had good games against them, because people always ask me before the game, or are you thinking about the striker, you know, whatever it is. So I don't think about who I'm coming up against. I just go out there and play my best, and I know I'll do the job. And in India, last season, I have to say Angula's movement in the box was top. It made it difficult for centre backs to mark him. He'd be in a space where you just don't want to go. He'd come back, and he'd always make it difficult in the box. He wouldn't go too far. He'd just make these little sharp movements. So he's a bit of a clinical striker. I'd say last season he was good. Lafonda as well was good. And Obeche, he's pretty strong. Obeche's good with using his arms and a strong guy. But I love all these tests. And I think, that would have to be the players, I'd say.
So generally, the idea that I was told is that when you're young, you're coming in, you don't have the experience, but you have the physicality and the speed and all those, that you try to sort of mask the lack of experience. But then later on, it sort of switches. Like, it's more the mental side of it. It's you're reading the game a lot more. So do you realize that the switch is happening when it happens, or do you just look back and think, oh, it's happened?
Yeah, I look back on my career and I think about decisions I made in games, and think, now I look back, I wouldn't have made that decision. You know what I mean? I would have. Now you become. It's funny. It's like everything in life, you learn through experience. And when you're young, and older players are telling you things, you know, you need to be here, you need to be there. You're thinking, oh, you know, you're not really taking it in. But you realize when you get to the age, and now when I talk to the younger players, Indian players, Indian centre backs, I try and give them my experiences in my football career and what I've learned as well. So I'll look back at decisions I made when I was younger, and think, you just make smarter decisions, and you kind of go into autopilot, and you just do, you know, where to be at the right time, and you learn that as you grow up as a centre back. I was 21 when I was playing in A-League, so it's quite young centre back, and now I'm 27, 28, still not even in my prime as a centre back yet. So still a few things to learn, but I feel like I'm coming to my peak, and with consistent game time, I'm able to show that. week. So
And the Anwar Ali obviously is a big name, someone who has a lot of expectations from a lot of the fans and everybody around here. How is he? Are you helping him out? And how is that in conversation with him? What do you think about him? As you played with Indian partners and you've seen other Indian defenders play as well. So how would you rate him?
Yeah, look, he's a good guy first and foremost. Humble guy, good footballer as well. It's obviously rated highly in India as centre back, and from what I've seen of him, I think it's justified. He's calm on the ball, makes smart decisions, and he's a good footballer. So I'm sure he has more to grow. Like when the centre back's a certain age, you obviously learn more as you come, and hopefully one day he can become even better and become the national team centre back. And I think that's what a lot of people have expectations on. He's a good person, good player, and I hope the best for him.
So this is the last question I'm going to ask. What is the funniest thing that happened to you on the football field? Because oftentimes, the reason why I asked earlier about the talk with Krishna is you often see the defender and the striker having conversation. Sometimes you're laughing, sometimes you're just pissed off at each other. But so, what is the funniest thing that's happened to you on the field?
The funniest thing. I wouldn't say the funniest, but it was something that always sticks in my mind. I've never had it with a striker before. It was when I was playing against Bruno Fornaroli in Australia, and I was still young at the time. And look, I was trying to get in front of him for certain goal kicks and whatever, and he would start pinching me here in the in the back area, like proper going as hard as he could, and I was like, "Ref, can you not freaking see this guy's pinching me every time I get in front of him? He's pinching me." And it's proper hurting, right? And I'm telling him, I'm saying to him, mate, next time you touch the ball, I'm gonna break your freaking leg, saying all these things. And it's always stuck with me. Like, see, the next couple of times we played against each other, we're shaking hands, like, "Hey, how are you?" And we've kind of just built that, that challenger of respect, and on the football field, we give everything. And then, every time we see each other after that, like, "Hey, Fox, hey, Bruno, how are you, mate?" on the field. But I still think back at the time. Remember when you were pinching me like, "No, tomorrow." You know what I mean? Like, so I wouldn't say it's funny, but that's just something that stuck with me throughout my career.
The striker is pinching you.
Yeah, just I've never had it before where it's usually the defender doing it, giving them a tough time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, Dylan, I'm just giving you whatever you want to say to your fans, to FC Goa fans, to people who are watching this. Anything that you want to say?
Yeah, look, I think all the Seagull fans, we've got 5 games left. We're gonna give everything for the team, for the club, for the fans. Obviously, we're frustrated with the results. We feel like we deserve more. We know where we are as a team, but we feel your support, even though we know we're in a tough period. We do feel your support with lots of messages on Instagram, and it's a tough time for the club and look the league as well, because it's a period where it's tough. But look, we'll give everything for the club, for the badge, for the rest of the season, and we're going to fight every second with a glimpse of hope. So just stay with us. We appreciate your support.
And I hope that you get to play in front of the fans soon enough, and you get to score that goal and celebrate with the fans. And
it'll probably be another 10 years before I score a goal, mate. To be honest with you, so hopefully
it's going to happen soon. I'm telling you, it's going to happen soon, and I want to see your reaction. I want to know if you'll go more than what you did last time, or it's going to be
100%. If there's fans, 100%. I might jump into the crowd. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish you all the best, Dylan. It's been
thank you very much. It's good chatting to you.
Yeah, and take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you.